for everyone here, I mean, Rocky Horror, where did it come from?
Well, I was an out-of-work actor. I'd been fired from Jesus Christ Superstar. Can't think why. And I went home and I kind of wrote it in spite, in a way. I felt that maybe I was deluding myself, that I didn't have a future in the theatre, and that perhaps I was like a lot of other people, going to be waiting for the phone to ring. And I was asked to do a 20-minute piece for the work people at EMI Studios for their Christmas party. So I wrote a song called Science Fiction Double Feature, which was about the movies that I enjoyed, and I wrote some jokes, and I went out and told the jokes and got them laughing and sang the song. And I used that as a kind of test for myself. If I could work the 15 minutes and 20 minutes and entertain, I'd rethink my journey. Otherwise, I was going to pack up and come back to New Zealand and get a proper job. But it worked, and I used the song as the prologue to writing the musical. And that's the way it went. I went and got a job at the Royal Court Theatre in a Sam Shepard play, and the director was a man called Jim Sharman. And I told him what I was doing and what I was writing, and I thought he might enjoy it. And he came back to my apartment one evening and brought a young man called Richard Hartley with him. And I sang the songs, and I told some of how the dialogue went and how the narrative went, and the journey went. And he went away and phoned me about a week later and said, I've been talking, the Royal Court Theatre wants me to do another play, a David Williamson play, an Australian playwright, do a play down in the main house. And I said, I will, but I'll only do it if I can have 3 weeks fun upstairs first. So I won another 2 songs by the end of the week and another 20 pages of dialogue. And that was how it went. And in the June, we were on and up and running. And it was a hit before it opened, in a way, because I remember when we were rehearsing upstairs and there were people singing songs around the piano, and someone would be learning their song, and I walked down the stairs through the Royal Court, and people were beaming with smiles. There was such a generosity of spirit. Everyone felt good about it. Everyone knew they were having a bit of fun. And that kind of enjoyment permeated its way through. Word of mouth was better than any of the press. We got great reviews, but the word of mouth was astonishing. And we were packed out. We played for another 2 weeks there, and we played in London for 7 years after that. And here we are 35 years later, and we're still running.
But to start with, it was going to be 3 weeks. You thought that was going to happen.
All over. A bit of fringe theatre event. I wouldn't have thought many people would have enjoyed it. What was very strange about Rocky Horror was that it tapped a nerve in all of us. There is a narcissistic exhibitionist streak in all of us. You may not want to confront this in yourselves, but it's there. And what it did was, as soon as Tim Curry got up and went, I'm just a sweet transvestite, poof, like that, with no embarrassment and no shame, everyone went, well, hello. And the guys sitting next to the girls went, hello. See what you mean? It was something that was so out there and unapologetic that was liberating. It was wonderful to stand at the side of the theatre and watch the audience being surprised at themselves for enjoying this. That was a very strange thing.
Because there are people who spend their lives absorbed in Rocky Horror Picture Show. Absorbed in it.
Well, it works on so many levels, doesn't it? It works as a trashy, fun, camp piece of theatre. But like all fairy tales, we don't know why fairy tales are told over and over again, why they've had the longevity that they have. But each generation tells the same fairy tales to their children. And invested in them are Jungian kinds of themes. There are dark little moments. Some of the birds are symbolic. And there's, inside the storyline there's a moral tale to be told. Grandparents have told the tale, parents have told the tale, people about to become parents will tell the same stories to their children. And invested in them, and although we accept them on the surface level, subliminally there's a darker tale in there. And I think that Rocky works a little on that. Babes in the Wood is a retelling of the Fall. The Babes in the Wood are Brad and Janet, and the serpent is the Wicked Witch in the cottage, in the gingerbread cottage. It's a similar kind of tale.
Was the reason for having the serpent as a transvestite to be as a contrast to Brad and Janet?
I think it was a little bit something to do with how I'd been cursed or blessed by nature. I came out of the womb that way. I am transgendered. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It's a difficult journey. But it happens in the womb, and if we want empirical proof of how things go wrong in the womb between the genders, we have to see an hermaphrodite. That happens. That's not a happy incident for the parents or the child. Sometimes the decision to decide whether the child is a girl or a boy is made too early, and we have an upset psychological problem when the child hits puberty. There are many more subtle variations that happen, I think, in the womb. And I know at the age of 6 that I should have been a girl. And I said to my older brother I wanted to be the fairy princess when I grew up. And now look at me now, I'm a full-blown queen. And but I knew immediately I'd said the wrong thing, and the shutters come down, and you live inside your head. That's a secret that you will never show anybody. There's going to be no chink in the armor, and that way madness ensues. You're never allowed to actually grow up. You grow up as a kind of an idea for everybody, and you're not really yourself, and there has to be a payoff sooner or later. I went over the edge of the abyss a few years ago, and then I suddenly said, oh, stuff it, I am what I am by default. I'm going to, in a few years' time, I'm going to be 70. I may as well just live my life and be happy, and just be content and be a nicer person as a result.
Why wait that long?
Because society is so misogynistic, isn't it? If I dressed like, I call this my lesbian stage manager's look. But if I was a girl and I had short cropped hair and I was wearing a t-shirt and jeans and sneakers, nobody would say anything. Would say, did you walk around town like that? Really? You see, but if I put a frock on, people do say, do you walk around town like that? And it's silly, but it's misogynism, isn't it? If you go towards the male, then you've got all these things that you could call like forceful. To be female is to be weak and stupid, isn't it? That's what we say. That's the negative end. Misogynism, I don't understand it. We were talking about it earlier on. It demeans our mothers. It demeans our sisters and wives and our daughters. And I really don't understand why the only sentient species on our planet, and maybe the only sentient species in the entire universe, possibly, should see that 50% of this sentient species is less viable than the other 50%, and I really don't understand it. I don't get it here. I've lost the plot.